Imagine a grand palace filled with glittering chandeliers, golden walls, and endless corridors where every corner sparkled like sunlight on a river. Behind the beauty, though, a young princess named Seraphina scrugs floors and carries heavy trays, hiding her royal identity from everyone, including the king she calls father. The air is thick with tension, whispers of secrets, and shadows that seem alive in the corners. Today, one small act will change everything, and no one will ever forget it. Seraphina had once lived a life of comfort. Her laughter filled the halls, and servants bowed when she passed. She wore gowns of silk and jewels that sparkled in the candlelight. Her father, King Alarion, had adored her, showering her with love and stories of courage and honor. She had known friendship, laughter, and freedom. Everything changed the day the new queen arrived. The queen, beautiful and cunning, smiled with sweetness, but beneath her charm hid jealousy and greed. She envied Seraphina for the love she received, for the innocence and light in her eyes. Slowly, the queen whispered lies, telling the king that Seraphina was spoiled, deceitful, and a troublemaker. Each lie added a layer of doubt, each word a shadow over the princess's once bright life. One morning, Seraphina awoke to find her gowns gone, replaced with rough cloths. Her silver combs were replaced with wooden brushes, and her royal bed swapped for a simple straw mattress. She was no longer the princess. She was a servant in the palace she had always called home. The first days were the hardest. She carried heavy trays of food through endless halls, polished floors until her hands ached, and knelt before nobles who sneered at her. Some laughed at her, some ignored her entirely. Yet Seraphina never allowed her spirit to break. She remembered the stories her father had told her, the lessons about courage, patience, and cleverness. Even as she labored, she observed everything. She learned the names of every servant and guard, discovered hidden corners and secret passages, and watched the queen's every move. She whispered with the palace cooks, the gentle guards, and wise tutors, who still believed in her heart. They shared stories, advice, and small acts of kindness that reminded her she was never truly alone. Days turned to weeks, and Seraphina began to understand the palace better than anyone. She knew the timing of the guards' shifts, the secret stairways behind the kitchens, and the quiet garden where the sun touched the roses at the perfect hour. She noticed the queen's plotting, her whispered schemes, the sly looks exchanged with distant nobles. One afternoon, while carrying tea to the queen's council, Seraphina overheard a secret that would change her life forever. The queen was planning to seize the throne, intending to replace the king with her own son from a distant noble family. The king, unaware, would soon make decisions based on lies, and the kingdom itself hung in the balance. Seraphina knew she had to act. She began with small, clever moves. She guided a young stable boy to a hidden map showing secret routes through the palace, leaving subtle notes and clues for the king disguised as ordinary servant tasks. Slowly, loyal staff began noticing her intelligence, her courage, and her determination. The whispers about the mysterious servant girl began to circulate among those who cared for the kingdom. Months passed, and the queen's plans grew bolder. She summoned the king to a royal banquet, intending to present her son as the heir, declaring the princes unfit and incompetent. Seraphina, with careful planning, ensured that loyal guards were ready and hidden, and evidence of the queen's betrayal was in her hands. As the banquet began, the queen stood before the king, her smile cold and practiced. "Your Majesty," she said, "the kingdom needs a stronger hand to lead, one that does not falter. Your daughter cannot protect the crown." Her words were sharp, intended to wound. Seraphina stepped forward quietly but with purpose, holding the documents that revealed the queen's plot. "Father," she said, her voice steady despite the fear that fluttered in her chest, "your kingdom is in danger. The person who betrays you stands before you, and I can prove it." Gasps filled the hall. Courtiers leaned forward, shocked at her audacity. The queen's smile faltered, replaced with a flicker of rage. The king's eyes widened, uncertainty gripping him for the first time in years. "What is this?" he demanded. "How dare you? Look at the papers," Seraphina said calmly. "Every detail, every plan, every name. The documents outlined the queen's scheme, her attempts to manipulate the nobles, and her plot to crown her son as king. The room was silent, the weight of truth heavy in the air. The queen tried to twist the story, to claim she was misunderstood, but Seraphine's evidence was undeniable. The king slowly rose from his throne, a mix of shock and awe on his face. He realized the child he had once doubted, the girl he thought fragile and powerless, had shown courage, wisdom, and loyalty far greater than any noble in the room. The loyal guards quickly apprehended the queen, her plan foiled. She screamed and struggled, but justice had been restored. The king turned to Seraphina, his eyes filled with pride and love. "My daughter," he said softly, "you have saved this kingdom, not through your title, but through your heart." Seraphina smiled, relief washing over her. She had endured humiliation, labor, and scorn, yet she had never wavered. The kingdom cheered, acknowledging the bravery of a princess who had been hidden, who had worked in silence, and who had emerged as a true hero. From that day forward, Seraphina ruled beside her father with wisdom, fairness, and compassion. She remembered the days when she was treated as a servant, and she ensured that no voice was ever ignored in her kingdom. She listened to her people, respected their experiences, and valued courage over rank. The story of the princess who was treated like a servant spread across lands far and wide. Parents told it to children, reminding them that even the smallest act of bravery could change the world. Even those underestimated and overlooked could hold the power to transform lives, kingdoms, and history itself. Seraphine's life became a testament to perseverance, humility, and courage. She learned that power without compassion was meaningless, and that true strength came from heart, mind, and resilience. Her journey showed that even in the darkest times, intelligence, bravery, and kindness could illuminate the path forward. Every servant who had once whispered encouragement, every tutor who had shared advice, and every guard who had remained loyal became part of her story. The palace was no longer a place of fear or deceit. It was a home where courage was celebrated, kindness rewarded, and justice upheld. And so, the princess who had been forced to scrub floors and hide her identity became a symbol of hope. She demonstrated that no obstacle, no lie, no betrayal, no cruelty could hold back a determined heart. The kingdom thrived under her guidance, and the story of her resilience inspired countless others to believe in their own strength. Her days as a servant remained with her, shaping the leader she would become. She treated her subjects with empathy, hearing voices others ignored. She turned the palace into a place where fairness reigned, where every citizen had value, and where courage was recognized in all forms, big and small. Even years later, people remembered the young princess who had defied expectations, exposed betrayal, and restored justice. Her legend endured because it was not built on wealth or titles alone, but on the courage, cleverness, and integrity that had shone brightest when no one expected it. The kingdom of Lorien became a beacon of hope, a place where everyone knew that even the most humble could rise to greatness, and that the heart mattered more than gold or status. The princess's story was told around the world, reminding everyone that bravery, intelligence, and kindness could truly change lives. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video. Tell us in the comments, if you were in Seraphine's shoes, how would you act? Make sure to subscribe for more epic fairy tale stories that will shock, inspire, and capture your imagination. And don't forget to share this video with friends and family who love unforgettable tales of courage, cleverness, and royal adventure.